So, how would you describe the action in this kind of game?
They have a particular style. They play physical. They try to get into you from the jump. I know that part of the scouting report was I think they fouled the most in the league. And you knew it was going to be kind of a slogfest, especially coming off the road trip. Very tough game. We had to find the energy. We started off well, gave ourselves a chance to fire. Alarm was weird. And then after that, just grind it out, found a way to get it done on the stretch. Draymond's three was huge. Defensive stops. Gui Santos coming in, changing the game. So it was just grind it out game.
Where you guys are going right now as you approach the playoffs, is this kind of opponent, this kind of game, kind of good for the soul to get through something like this against a team like this?
Yeah, every win we've had has had a little different kind of style or character to it, and this is a good team wins this type of game. So you're trying to build off of that, the identity we're creating, and just find a way to put yourself in position to win and win ugly. And when shots aren't falling, games a little choppy, you just stick with it, and good teams win these type of games.
Steph, you reached another milestone in your career. Congratulations. What did that feel like, especially in front of the whole crowd?
It was a surprise, actually. I knew I was coming up on it, but I didn't think about it until I heard it in game. And I know there's a list. Somebody told me after Tim Roye told me after the game, only 10 guys, I think, or now 10 guys have done it with one franchise, so that's pretty special. And the names that are on that list are synonymous with basketball history, so it's pretty cool.
Steph, you brought up how Gui came in and brought the game. How does he change the game? How does he make the game easier for you?
He changed the game with his energy. Like, there's never a time when he's on the floor you won't notice him, sticking his nose in a play or flying around. That offensive rebound and one he had was huge. So the controllables, he's the best at that. Can't control how many shots you make, can't control if the game's going to come to you or not, but you can control your energy and your effort and your will. And that's how he's cracked his way into the rotation. That's why Coach trusts him out there. And whether he plays 5 minutes, 24 minutes, he's going to play the exact same way.
Where have you maybe seen his game grow? Because he's always had the energy, but it seems like now adding points, rebounds, everything. And who does he maybe remind you of a past teammate possibly?
Got a little Juan T in him, I think. Yeah, Juan Toscano-Anderson-like. But just a guy that his growth is, you knock down open shots if they're going to leave you open. You control that energy, try not to foul. It doesn't matter if you're going to have a couple. You're going to have a couple, but just the ones where you're not reading the play right. He seems very comfortable out there the more reps he gets. And you can see the passion, too, how much it mattered. That and one, his reaction was everything. He's in the game. You're going to feel his presence.
You played with Draymond for a long time, and his threes, some years have been great, some years not so great. This year he started out shooting very well, but he hasn't shot well the last month or so. How do you sort of describe that play and how meaningful it is for him to hit that shot, obviously to put you guys ahead with only 35 seconds left?
Big shot. I mean, we haven't seen like a clutch fourth quarter one in a while, but that speaks to his confidence, knowing that keep shooting mentality. Doesn't mean he's shooting 10 of them a night, just the ones that he knows he's supposed to take. You can't hesitate. You just line it up, live with the results, and it's indicative of our last 10, 15, 12 games or so, just the confidence and belief that we're going to make the right plays to get it done, and that's contagious. So to your point, I don't know how he approaches it, whether he's focusing on percentages or not. It's just a matter of you take the shots you're supposed to take, and that one he had his mind made up. They were kind of sagging off, taking away all the off-ball stuff, knock it down, and that injected a lot of life into the veins for sure.
Steph, back to the weird fire alarm. What was going through your mind, and were you seeing fans leaving the arena?
First, I think they had the violinist out there. I thought it was part of her routine. Because I was like, she was doing all the covers of songs and stuff, so I thought it was like a grand finale. So I was like, oh, that's aggressive. And then you kind of realize it's real, and then nobody knows what to do because it's 19,000 people. Like, where do you go? And we all me and Draymond were laughing because it took us a minute to get going physically after the long road trip and the quick turnaround. None of us wanted to go back in the locker room and have to, get stiff and had to come back out and get re-warmed up. So thankfully, every day everybody was safe, and so that's a first for me for sure in any level of basketball.
First quick one. Did Draymond gets the 25,000 point ball?
Yeah, he's gonna keep it for me. I heard he's got a little bit of KD's memorabilia from when he broke the USA. He's just collecting stuff for all of his.
Like a museum. He's got like a
exactly.
museum.
I'll come back and get it eventually.
Draymond said it. We've kind of been saying it. This was a game that you probably would have lost, do you think, before the trade?
All signs would have pointed to yes.
Steph, and just the Jimmy Butler effect. Just what has it meant to you? What has it meant to the franchise? Is it too early to get excited about it? Or are you like, wow, this is pretty amazing what's happening with him?
Both. I mean, none of us are going to get off on regular season accomplishments. We have, to perform and put ourselves in a playoff position to be a team that nobody wants to, face and be a tough out no matter who the matchup is. Like, we're building towards that, but it's pretty clear as day the difference in not just the record, but, how we're playing, how we're winning, and his impact on the game. Early it was him getting back in shape, trying to figure out, how to be aggressive and play in our system and how we needed to cater to his kind of pet actions and his comfort zone. And then it's just gotten better, every game. So we got to keep doing that. We're not getting ahead of ourselves, but it's nice to win games.
And also the coffee, the candles, the eccentricism. What is he like off the court?
Super consistent, a professional. I know there's been a lot of eyeballs on him all season, pre-trade, post-trade, and all that, but I've loved the way he's approached everything. Like, me and Draymond always talked about, we don't ask anybody to be anybody other than themselves, but you show up to play, you care about winning, you do your part, everybody can get down with that.
Steph, to kind of piggyback off that, tonight, Jimmy had 15 points in the third quarter, most points he scored so far with you guys. Do you feel like tonight you saw him come out of his shell a little bit more offensively? And especially that stretch from the third to the fourth when you're sitting, how does that allow you to sort of center yourself before that final push?
Yeah, from the day he got here, it pushed me back to my kind of normal rotation. And other than maybe like a 6-minute stretch in Houston, where me, him, and Draymond were all on the bench, like either one of us is always on the floor. And I think he felt Detroit's a great defense. They've had like the second best defense, I think, in the last however many games. And you could kind of feel that. And he made the necessary adjustments to look to score because all of our like off-ball stuff, they were kind of wrestling. We were having a hard time creating advantages. And he does what a superstar does, made the right adjustments and made plays, kept us in it, and kept the momentum going. So that's what you expect a guy to do. He always talks about making the right play. The right play was a score in the second and third quarter.
Stephen, Steve mentioned how he gave you credit for finding other ways to score tonight, maybe when some of your long distance shots weren't falling. I mean, how important is that for you to drive, and especially in a physical game like this against that defense, to get to the line 12 times and to find other ways to get it done?
Same kind of mindset that Jimmy had in the third. Like, this was kind of I call it a gotta find it game. Like, there's no real flow. Like you said, they were very physical, hands-on, but you just keep trying to be aggressive and don't lose your confidence if shots don't fall. To your point, try to get in the paint. I got a couple and ones off some great passes from Draymond. And, like, just the idea, you got to have a little bit of balance, but just find a way to make plays down the stretch, no matter how it looks.
Steph, I'm working on tracking down Grandma Kitty for a follow-up story. I'm curious what that meeting was like, because I personally haven't heard you talk about it. But secondly, it looked like she donated some money to Eat, Learn, Play. Is that, you just talk about that whole experience and the effect that she actually gave you something?
Yeah, that was cool. She gave me like the Happy Gilmore check. I think they rallied some people from their community to, invest in what me and Aisha are doing with Eat, Learn, Play out here in Oakland. That just speaks to the influence and just the experience they've had and she's had supporting me and being a part of the journey. So that was really cool. She's sharp too. She took me through her notebook and gave me a little insight on how her and her family, come together when it comes to Warrior games and all that. So it was pretty special to see her, and thankfully we got the win over there too, so she could have a good time.
How much fun and joy are you playing with these days, and how does having fun contribute to team winning, and especially as you come to the playoff push, like how does having fun affect winning and promote winning, especially in physical games like this?
It's kind of the chicken and the egg thing. Like, I always want to play with joy, and that's part of my nature when I'm in the right frame of mind, mentally and physically. It's with smiles and that flow that you see. Obviously, if you're struggling during any part of the season, like, it's hard to generate that, but you have to remind yourself not to stray too far away from that spirit. And, sometimes you kind of have to dig deep to that like dog mentality. If you just figure it out, and the celebrations and the rah-rah stuff that goes on when you're winning, like, that's contagious too. So yeah, you don't want to let losing affect your joy, but also, there are highs and lows throughout the year, and you kind of want to try to stay as even keel as possible.
Hey, Steph, this is the second time you played against Cade Cunningham, against the Pistons, of course, and just wondering, as an opponent, where have you seen this game grow the most? And at the same time, with him, this being somewhat of a breakout season for him, how do you go about keeping that same development? Because we've seen a lot of guys over the years have that breakout season, but then at some point they get kind of stagnant with their development.
I think he's getting a taste of winning. They got a pretty... I call it a dynamic team around him where everybody has a specific role, and he's grown just his playmaking, and he seems very composed out there every time he has the ball in his hand. So there's a reason they're way better than they were last year, because he's taken that leap, and then they've put guys around him to help him do that.
Steph, how important are these types of games for this new group? You guys come cross country and play against a good team, like you said. How is that good for what you guys are trying to accomplish down the line?
Winning games, all different type of styles. Even if you don't feel 100% fresh physically, going through a 5-game road trip. It's our 4th game in 6, 7, whatever days, and every team's challenged us a little, like, in the amount of energy and effort we had to put into the Brooklyn game to come back from down 20 in the first quarter and get on a 6-hour flight, come back, quick turnaround. Like, it's a character win in that sense. We obviously need as many wins as possible, try to climb up the standings, but this was a dig it out, just find it game that we needed, and I'm glad we got it done.
Thank you, guys.
8 for 26. Nice.